Mm.
Yeah,
Yummy.
garnished it with a lime and a star fruit.
Love.
And just so everyone is aware, we did go ahead and start recording. If everyone is okay with that, if you're not okay with that, please just let us know. Um,
Awesome.
but yeah, so we are recording. So Kayla, you can go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danny. Hey, everyone. My name is Kayla Garner. I am a guest moderator, so I am not the moderator that usually moderates these fill in the gaps and focus on health programming. But in Lauren's absence, she tagged me in because this topic is one of my favorite things to talk about. I love sisterhood. I love connectivity amongst us as Black women and women of color. And I think this is an amazing opportunity to talk about what it means to have the support of our community and, as Black women. So Focus on Health has this amazing series. If you have not checked out the other Fill in the Gap programming, please go back and check that out. There are multiple, I think today, tomorrow, there's a couple of more Fill in the Gap panels and programming that you can find on Focus on Health Instagram handle. But today's conversation is going to be about sisterhood, right? I Got You Sis. It's about identity. It's about us as women in all of the different walks of life that we're in. And so I'm going to go ahead and give you a short description of what today's panel is about. And then I'm going to have the panelists actually introduce themselves. I love the selfies. Yes, take all the selfies you want as you're getting ready for this. So yes, this I Got You Sis panel is all about how we can love ourselves within the support, with the support of our community. And so, we think about the major role in that identity has in how we show up in our communities and that positive and healthy interpersonal relationships that we foster, right? Around self-love, appreciation, those important and essential things that really truly make us who we are and make us whole. And so wholeness provides us with the opportunities to invest a part of ourselves back into the community. And this panel is going to explore identity, authenticity, community, awakenings, all the things when it comes to being comfortable inside of our skin. And so again, I am Kayla. I have a lifestyle subscription box company, if I can get it out. It's called Betterness Box, and it is made for Black women by Black women. We predominantly include products that are owned by Black women or women-owned businesses. And so we're very proud of that and really encourage you to check that out. I'll have a special code for you if you're interested in subscribing. But let's go to the panelists. I'll start with Tracy. Tracy Franklin, could you go ahead and introduce yourself? Hey, girl.
Hello. I am Tracy Franklin. I'm currently a candidate for the Nearest and Jack Advancement Initiative, studying to become a head distiller. I am also Spirited Tracy LLC, so just educating people about whiskey, changing the world of whiskey one glass at a time. And happy to be here to talk about, sisterhood and the journeys to get that, to find that, and ensure that it's promoted within our community.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll go on to Mo Peacock. I hope I'm saying your name right.
You can, it's Monica.
Okay, Monica.
But you can call me Mo. I am been in the bartender industry for 6 years. In past this last October, I placed in the top 3 for Chocolate City's Best, and currently right now I host tasting events for people in the community to learn more about spirits.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. And next is it Gose Parks?
Perfect. Yes, I'm Gose Parks,
Awesome.
based out of Chicago. Very, very happy to be here. I've lost the years of how long I've been bartending. I thought it was only about 6, but I think it may have been 8 or more. I don't know anymore. But yeah, I love connecting people, bringing people together, and health, wellness. Those are things that are extremely important to me. So this is going to be a good time.
Awesome. Yes, it is. I completely agree. All right, next we have Kiata Mincy Parker.
Hey. So I am Kiata Mency Parker. I'm a Liberian American bartender based in Atlanta, Georgia. I have been bartending for 18 years because my daughter is 18. I recently became furloughed with a lot of others, and that just projected me to work on my baby, A Sip of Paradise Garden, which is a nonprofit bartenders community-based garden here in Atlanta. So it's made me focus and pivot to that. So, but I'm here, you know.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And is everyone hailing from Atlanta, or I don't know if I caught everyone's location. She's like, I got my flag right.
DC.
Okay. Rep it in the house. I love it. So I'm here in Dallas, just if you're curious, but I think what we're going to talk about today will definitely be how we show up in our communities, right? We'll touch on that today. And I think it'll be interesting to see if there's some differences between how we show up wherever we are in our prospective locations. So let's get into this. Let's start with the first question. It says, how do you identify as an individual and also as a person within your respective communities? Basically what I was just talking about. And then what part do our identities play in living a life of authenticity, which is one of my favorite things to talk about amongst Black women, because we got to kind of code switch sometimes when it comes to how we show up. So let's talk about that. Anyone want to jump in with answering the first question, right? How do you identify as an individual and as just a person within your respective communities?
I'll go first. Why not?
Go ahead.
I think for me, just not being afraid to mess up in public, being able to be okay with like the criticism that comes along with putting yourself out there, being okay with not everything going my way, but I'm still persevering and still managing to learn and grow with new opportunities. So I think that's what makes me stand out individually.
Love that. Love that approach.
Yeah, I think I love what you were saying, Monica, because I'm thinking about like how do I identify and how does this affect how I show up? And so I just turned 40 this year, right? And it's a big deal for me because I feel like I just became a woman, like for the first time in my life, I'm actually a woman. And, you know, I've kind of started releasing certain language. I don't, you know how we're saying we gotta code switch. Like I don't gotta do anything, right? So that's kind of the new attitude. Whereas my identity is whoever I am in that moment. Meaning whoever you met yesterday, you might not get her today, and it's still me. I don't have to pretend to be one way. I'm a woman. I'm fluid. I'm flexible. However I show up is what you're going to get, and it's all going to be great. And I can't mess this up because I'm me, and you're welcome. So my identity has shifted so much from so many years of people pleasing. And now I'm just going, no, I need to be pleased.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's super powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else?
I absolutely hear that. I'm definitely a person who has gotten where I am because my innate nature is to be flexible, to be a chameleon, and to be a people pleaser. So I will do whatever makes you happy, and it's easy. I'm an actress. I can do whatever you need. So really, I think that whatever title I take on, sometimes it doesn't, like, that's not what it is about being in the community. It's about being, I think that now it's about standing in your truth, and that truth changes though. That truth is being constantly explored. I'm finding new rocks to turn, to look under every single day as I'm deciding to really stand in my shoes. Because I think for so long it's been about what was going to get me to where I needed to be successful. What did Black excellence look like? What was accepted and what was not? And if it was not, put that away in the box and let's just pursue this avenue because that is what is accepted and that's what's going to get me where I need to go. So now I can't say I'm walking in Goza's shoes. I can't say I'm just like, forget it. I'm not. I'm definitely, but I'm closer to that. And I am much more accepting and generous and kind to myself and how I show up. And sometimes it's not what someone wants, and I'm okay with that because it's still going to be my truth. It's a journey.
Amen.
It is.
And
Go ahead.
you look good, girl. Okay, you look good. Okay.
I identify with everything Tracy just said. Tracy took every thought I had out of my head. So
Okay.
I identify with Tracy Franklin there. That's
So do I.
With her right there. Yes. I love it. I love it. And yes, I completely agree. I think it's a journey, right? We're on this journey, and depending on our backgrounds and our field of work, right? Our industry, sometimes things are required. And what I love about this, and something that just sparked in my head, is like the women before us, right? Generations before us had to do a lot of that so that we could show up more authentically where in these spaces that we are in communities. So we're doing them an injustice if we don't. That doesn't mean that we've made it all the way, right? Sometimes it does feel like we must, we've got to kind of assimilate in some ways, but I think we're still blazing the trail for those little girls coming up after us. And I think that is really, really powerful. So thank you, ladies, for sharing that.
Absolutely. I like the way that you're thinking about it. But I do think even just in this conversation right here, right now, Monica is able to show up more herself because this 18 years of Kiata, the girls who like, because of these, almost 2 decades of us fitting in a little bit and making space.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We made space, and now we're looking back and going, come on, girl. Come on, Monica. Come on, girl.
Come on.
Yes, and for those who don't know, and for those who don't know, Tracy was my mentor during Chocolate City's Best, so she definitely got me together. Okay.
I love it.
She will always.
But I love her so much.
Yes.
Oh, yes. This is great. Okay. I love this. I love this. I love the sisterhood. And that is amazing. I didn't know that connection was there. So that is powerful. So we're literally talking about it and showcasing it here in this moment. That is amazing. Okay. So ladies, let's talk about a little bit more about identity and how we feel society has played a part in who we are today. Now, this is a big one, especially I think as Black women, but anyone want to chime in on how they feel society? I think media is a part of that, right? Culture. How has that played in a part in who we now identify as and who we show up as?
Whew, that's a heavy question.
It is.
So for me, I'm speaking for me. Being Liberian and being American, that's already a split situation. So growing up in Africa was totally different than coming to America. I came to America as a refugee. So it was being ejected from one home and being thrown into the other. And when you're put in situations like that, you have to assimilate to survive, or you're going to perish, because you have to kind of go with it. So growing up in Liberia, everything was Black. Everything was Black. My president was Black. My banker was Black. My doctor was Black. My dentist was Black. My chauffeur was Black. Everything was Black. So leaving somewhere like that, or being somewhere like that, or being in an environment, I was never told I couldn't do anything. I was always given the tools to do the things that I wanted to do, or I chose to do, because I came from the lineage and the family I came from. But when we had this war that started in May of '90, that's when we came to America, yeah. So had this war happen, and of course I'm injected to my second home, which has always been our vacation area. Like we vacationed in America. And coming to America and having to be here for a longer term, and actually going to school and planning out my future, my college possibly being here, I had never hit so many roadblocks. I've never been told I couldn't do so many things until I came here.
Wow.
Like, for you to dare to think that you can be president because you're a Black woman, or to dare to think you can be this because you're a Black woman, those things were never entered in my head until I came here. And coming here and trying to fit in, I let all those things kind of beat me down into the person I started at, which caused a lot of issues in my life. But you learn from all those issues, you learn from those things, and you grow from those things. So I don't regret any of my journey, but my journey is different. And it may speak to someone, it may not, it's fine. But it's, it's mine to have and it's mine. But
Kiara, I'm
to answer the
curious.
question, I kind of ramble. I tend to ramble. So.
No, you're good. That was amazing. And
I heard
love
no
that
rambling.
perspective. Right. Like I don't have that perspective at all. And so I'm actually a little bit curious about, what do you think those contributing factors were, right? Who was it who was telling you you can't do this and you can't do that? Or were there messages, or was it, actual people, all of the above?
It was my surroundings. It was the quality of learning, like coming to a school. Like when I came to America, I had enough credits. I was 12. I had enough credits to actually put in 8th grade. But what concerned my mother was that you can't be 12 in the 8th grade. It's just going to move too far for you. But it wasn't fair because all my friends' parents let them jump ahead. It was the quality of learning. It was being in a school predominantly Black, where teachers look so worn down that they don't even argue with you when you're being disrespectful. And their hands are so tied, they can't do anything except send you somewhere and help you get to the place they send you to. It's the quality, it's the standard, and the fact that, and I may be a little biased, but in Liberia, there's no middle class. Either you have it or you don't. So your education, everything is, you have to pay for it or you don't have it. So we learn to appreciate and take those things seriously, and we're treated that way because you're getting what you're paying for. Coming to America, going to free education, you're getting I felt like I was getting the bottom of the barrel. I felt like I was barely getting this. I felt like when people were in there talking about the country Africa, and being that people knew I was from Africa, they're looking at me like, is that true? I can't speak for a continent. I can speak for my country.
Right.
Right. So I felt like those contributing factors cheated me. And it may have been where I grew up, but it shouldn't matter. Where you are, you should be able to get the best of everything. You should. There's no reason why one person should be put above another person just because. You have to work for what you want. You have to do it.
I love that. I think that there are so many differences, obviously, between Liberia and here. And just even the idea of like community and collective action, and the things that people were bought into education right there. And then over here, it's just not as community bought in, right? And then it's so dynamic, y'all. Y'all know it's lists and lists and lists of reasons why certain things are the way they are. And our history of, coming from being enslaved, like this is a thing, and these things have a trickle down effect. And so I think it absolutely has something to do with the way we identify, whether that's as individuals or even as a community, as you're speaking to. Anyone else want to chime in on the society part, how society has played a part in how we identify?
Well, I think that's actually a lot of what Kiara is experiencing are those messages that have been ingrained in the African-American community for hundreds of years. So the fact that they're used to this education, there's no striving for more, because even when you are at the top, when you graduate top of the class, you're still 3rd or 4th in line for that job, no matter what. It didn't matter what you did before. People are just going to look at you and immediately, like, we just know statistically, you are not going to earn the same. You are not going to have the same opportunities. So a lot of communities have stopped striving because there are so many roadblocks. There are so many hoops. There are so many things to jump over, and not everyone's meant to do that. Not every Black person should have to jump over all the hoops just to succeed. There should be the opportunity to be a lazy ass Black person and not do anything and still have the ability to succeed. But instead, because we don't talk about how every race, which race in itself is a thing, but every race has people who are striving, who are perfectionists, and people who are lazy and don't want to do things, and people who are, good and bad and whatever it may be. That is every single group. But it's being highlighted within certain communities in order to keep those communities down, in order to ensure that other communities feel that they have a leg up, that they are better, that they are more worthy, in order to keep this caste system that is the United States in place.
That's
this is
it.
a class system. And we've been taught where we belong, where we should be, what opportunities. And that's exactly when she's saying, I was told I couldn't do this, because if you think about how that works in India, right? You're told what jobs you can have. You're told what church you should be, what religion you are, who you're allowed to marry, how much money you're allowed to make. And that's the same thing that's actually happening in the United States. I'm sorry, I'm reading Caste, so it's such a great book. But right. But when you brought that up, and that's very much how I grew up, there basically came a point in my life, my parents were so strict with us. We weren't allowed to use any slang in our house. We had to write essays when we got in trouble. Like that's what we did. Like you had to write a 600 word essay when you were like in 3rd grade. And you're like, what am I doing? But that's what you did until you could go outside and play. But my life, I was raised very differently. So then when I started to get into 3rd and 4th and 5th grade, where you were becoming an individual, I didn't know how to be the individual that had baggy pants and talked slang and had bad grades. And all of that stuff was absolutely unacceptable in my household. So instead I was an Oreo. I was white on the inside, but I wasn't choosing to be anything. This is what my parents told me I had to do. So now all of a sudden I was afraid to even be a part of these Black communities, but society was telling me, the larger society was telling me I was on the right path, that I was doing the right things. So it is a really difficult thing when you're getting, because we do have different messages within our community and outside in society. And there are so many things, and you have to pick kind of which way you want to go to be comfortable and to be a part of, you pick your community, right? So when you identify and you say, I am this, this, and this, you find those other people who identify that way and accept you in that circle. And I think that's also sometimes causing, even within our community, causing us distress because we're not allowing people outside of our comfort zone to be a part of our communities and nourishing them in a way they need.
Absolutely. A whole sermon.
I'm scared to say something, but
I'm getting riled up over here.
Good. No, this is good.
This is good. I kind of had get it. Yes. I grew up in PG County, which is like strictly Black. We grew up like that was Black excellence. Everybody was government workers or politicians. So I grew up like kind of somewhat privileged, some people would say. But I think there was also where I got attacked was my name. Monica Peacock, oh, you're going to be ghetto. You're going to be this. You know, you need to come correct. You need to speak this way, because if you don't speak this way, you're going to automatically be stereotyped. You know, like watching what you say, watching how you conduct yourself in public. Why? Because somebody knows you. You know, it was all eyes on me, and my mom was heavily involved. She still is involved to this day, and it was just it was a lot to, you know, keep up the status quo sometimes.
Absolutely. I think all of us are speaking to our experiences of almost what identity was placed on us, right? And how we now, I think the discussion becomes how we now awaken to a new existence, how we now define it, who it is we want to be moving forward, which is a beautiful journey. And I think our job is also, again, to look back and say, hey, girl, coming up, you don't have to do, you know what I mean? Fight the different ideals and all of the traditions and all of these things that, you know, people are trying to put on you, and truly find out what is it that you like, you know what I mean? Just because your parents like that doesn't mean you have to do that. And I think it is a tough thing within our community, then within America, right? And then within the world. So absolutely, I think this is a great conversation. I can't wait for some of the questions. Again, if you have questions, make sure to ask them. I don't know if that feature is turned on, but I know for sure the chat is. So if you write your questions in the chat, we can get to them. So I'm going to go to the next question. And I think it's really in line with what we're talking about now. It says, an awakening is an experience where illusions are shattered and you experience some kind of self-realization. Maybe you discover that certain assumptions or understandings you had previously been operating under, right, are flawed or incomplete. This is exactly what we've been talking about. Or perhaps you gain heightened sensitivity and awareness. What part did your community play in assisting you, right, to facilitate your own awakening and growing to love yourself? So first we talked about how these things were put on us, but how has our community actually helped to free us in that way? I would love to hear from you, Goze, because you were just talking about, I'm now at a point now where it's like, oh no, I'm showing up how I show up each and every day, maybe different, maybe not, but how has your community played a role in you reaching this point?
I love this because I relate to everything you all said, right? And I think for me, and when we say my community, right? Like what part of my community? The first thing I'm thinking is Black people since the beginning of time, we were always tribal people. I hate how they try to just lump us all in one big group. That's not how it works. We've never functioned that way. We've always been tribal. That tribe over there does that. That tribe over there does that. Over here we do this. And so first of all, I hate that people try to talk to us like we're all the same. We're not. We're the originals. There are copies out there, and that's really what it is. So for me, I'm listening to you three women, and I'm getting riled up, like I'm trying not to cry, because I'm like, yes, because we've been excellent from the beginning, right? Really, really living in America and being Black has been us being told to slow down so that somebody else can catch up, right? Because I was the kid that my mom didn't let me skip a grade either, because she didn't want me to be weird. I'm still weird. I mean, it didn't work, Mom, but right?
Still, Mom.
but I was raised in a bunch of white schools. They could not keep up. The teachers couldn't keep up with me. The students couldn't keep up with me. I was out testing everybody. So I'm listening to you all, and it's so affirming to me, because we've been the shit since day one. We are the cornerstone of American hospitality. Everything about this country came really from us. And so it's amazing to me when these sorts of questions are posed, not because your question is bad, but because of how I've heard people pose those questions to me before. Like, well, what did you learn from your community? How did you learn to be so confident? Actually, I came out confident. Real talk, I came out knowing I was lit. I didn't come from soft parents. I came from two military parents. My dad was from the South. My mom was from Chicago. They were tough. Like Tracy, my parents pushed me. My mom was not happy with anything, it seemed. I had to be first chair as a musician. I am a musician. I had to make straight A's. And if she didn't feel like I worked hard for those straight A's, she still wasn't happy. I was getting whippings for straight A's. How? Because she needed the straight A's to mean something to me. I'm like, I did the straight A's for you, boo. Like, I had to be an award-winning athlete. I always had to be better than everyone else. So when we really started thinking about who started telling us something was wrong with us, it wasn't my family. My dad taught me how to debate at the age of 4. From the time I was talking, I was arguing. Why? My dad said, you need to know how to articulate your thoughts, because he already knew as a boy from the South, they were going to try to silence a little Black girl. So my dad didn't raise me with any gender norms. He raised me to fend for myself. My mother raised me to fend for myself. So I had to be better than everybody. And I had to be even better than that. So for me, I came out with the confidence. What happened was these terrorist organizations that they call schools started trying to beat my confidence out of me. These terrorist organizations that they call churches tried to beat my confidence out of me and tell me that there was something wrong with me, telling me that my tone was too abrasive, telling me that there was something I was doing. And nobody gets policed like a Black woman. Yeah. The tone police, over it, right? So my regular way of communicating is an issue, but I can watch everybody else speak to me in whatever tone of voice they choose to, but I'm supposed to play nice. Honestly, what's happened to me now is I've watched, if we're going to talk about my community as Black people, I've watched Black women try so hard to assimilate. I've watched Black women try so hard to speak the language that other people would like, try so hard to police their tone, change their hair, change their style of dress, change their entire energy, change their religion. And I have not seen it work one time yet. So what happened for me, I said, well, it's not working. So now I'm not doing it anymore. What my community taught me was it's actually going to benefit me more to just be who I am, which is all that I am. I'm vast, and I'm just going to be that, because I haven't seen anything at all to prove to me that the other way works.
I love that. That's powerful. It reminds me, the concept that you're talking about reminds me of kind of the natural hair movement. Y'all remember when these natural hair Nazis came out and it was a lot, people were attacking each other. It was like, just let us be, I want to straighten my hair every 3 months. Can I do that? Right? And just be yourself. But the term, instead of, what did they call it? Instead of big chopping, it was called Return to Natural. They tried to kind of shift the conversation. And I feel like that's what we're all trying to do at some point, right? We were already natural. This was what came out of us already. And now it's saying, what does it look like to return to ourselves, return to the things that we feel are truly, truly a part of us in our bloodline, right? And so I think that's super powerful to say. We've been the ish, okay? We've been the ish.
There's a whole speech that basically Malcolm X said, who taught you to hate? Yep. Who taught you to hate yourself? Who taught you to hate your nose, your face, your skin? Who taught you? It wasn't us. It wasn't our community that taught us to hate. It wasn't us. Mm-hmm. But then we accepted it, right? So that's really what's happening, is that
it's so much. No, girl, go ahead.
I love it.
Don't hold back.
Stop and keep going.
Let him use you, baby.
I got your back.
We all got your back. We standing right there. Listen,
we're all over here like.
Well, and you all know, it's just when you grow up feeling it, when you grow up understanding that somebody else needs you to feel inferior, that they need you to understand that you will never be as good, you will never be as pretty, you will never be as worthy, simply because of the skin that you're in. And whether that's done mindfully or just done structurally in these schools, in the governments, in society, in our advertising, in our marketing, where it's just so systemic, it's in everything. That you, as a child changed the skin of Doc McStuffins, that's a Black doctor, toy, and they got a coloring book and didn't want to make it brown because they said brown is bad. A child. So it's that early. And I think that's where so many people are like, oh no, it's fine. But if you at 3 years old are already saying brown is bad, what have we done? How is it happening that early? Where is this hate coming from? Where is this messaging coming from?
I agree. We failed. If that continues to happen, we have failed, right? And I think you're all completely right. I think this question, especially the last part of it, talking about how our community has played a role in assisting us to be more aware, is saying that is the only thing we've had to help us be aware, right? Because everything outside of our communities is often so much so oppressive. And so I think that everything we're talking about is so powerful. Y'all gonna make, all right.
But I am grateful for people that are doing the work. I am grateful for people that are looking at communities, that are looking at their actions, and even us, even within, like, we have to look actively as, what are the structures that we are also playing into, because it's not just, race, it's also, where are we playing into masculinity? Where are we playing into, like, what are the different structures we're playing into that are hurting somebody? Because it may be somebody, maybe part of the queer community. It may be part, there's no telling, but somewhere, if we are better than, we're making somebody worse than. So where is it, each of us, that you are playing into a system and diminishing someone?
Absolutely. If we don't look at ourselves, then what are we doing? Right? We got to at least start there, and with our families and our inner and outer circles, and then we can keep going. But We've got to start with ourselves. I think that's super powerful. All right, last question. And then I feel like we just going to end up going off on all kinds of different topics, because y'all my friends now. It says, being comfortable in your own skin is a journey. It can be a journey. What advice do you have for Black and brown little girls, and even women, that might encounter difficulties with identity, their community, and being comfortable with their skin that they're in? Right? Because we've seen this, just as you just mentioned, Tracy, right? Little Black girls and boys think brown is bad. Where did that come from? And then how do we make sure that we're attacking that, right? That notion, that hateful notion that they should self-hate. How can we help to do that? What advice do we have for this next generation and those who are connected to the next generation?
I feel like I'm talking too much, so I'm trying to be quiet for this one.
I know, I feel the same way, Tracy.
Well, I'm gonna go first. So
go ahead, Kiana.
I'm gonna go ahead and get the mushy stuff out of the way. So, being that I am the mother of an 18-year-old daughter who is just, I don't even know whose kid this is. I'm gonna brief you real quick on her. A 15-year-old boy, my son, he is 6'4" and he's 15, and a 13-year-old bonus daughter. So I have a spectrum of things, but to get to what you're saying, it starts with that. For me, it starts with that, because my 18-year-old daughter is in high school as well as in college. She's part of the dual program. She has mapped out her next 10 years as far as what type of school she wants to go to, the type of education she wants to have, from what she wants to do in her spare time, all that, she has this all mapped out. She plans, she's been accepted to 4 schools, which she's happy about, but the one she wants is the one she's waiting on, which is University of Central Florida. We'll speak it into existence, gonna come in, she'll be happy. They have the program she wants. She can map out her whole life. She wants to be a psychiatrist, and she wants to work with children ages 12 and under that specialize in PTSD. She wants to do that, and she's 18. She goes to high school Monday and Friday. She goes to college Tuesdays and Thursdays. She's this kid. She is not boy crazy. She's not she's the most honest kid. She's probably the most mature person in the house. And all these things becoming from a person who was pulled from one culture to another, learned to assimilate, became a people pleaser, married too young, had 2 wonderful children, ended up being divorced, moving back home, contemplated stripping, but ended up getting back into bartending and went into film, coming from where she came from to now be where she is. That is what she came from. Statistically, none of this should have happened. By the standards here, none of these things should have happened. She should have been cracked out here doing stuff, already pregnant, not even all of these things, because of the perception that people have. So pick your communities. I'm a part of several communities. Pick the ones that enlighten you. There are communities that you're in that you can exit yourself out of if they don't feed you. I have multiple communities. I like to, and I call myself a whore, I like to spread the love around. I like to let people, everybody can have some, it's cool. Until you give me a reason to not let you have some. So that's how I like to be. Because I find that when you have multiple perspectives on things, you can have multiple opinions and you can relate to multiple things better, as opposed to being one-minded, narrow-minded, no, this is a no. Because when people turn that and put it on you, it's oppressive. Nobody wants to do that. Okay, that's all I'm gonna go ahead and drink my drink.
I just need everybody to write down that piece. What was it? You can exit the communities that you're a part of if they're not feeding you. Okay, you have permission. Kiata has given you permission. Go ahead, Monique.
Oh, okay. I would say, don't be afraid to ask the questions. Treat yourself. Don't cheat yourself.
Okay.
You deserve, I don't know if people see it online, you deserve to have the nice things. Don't let nobody tell you you're not allowed to do that. Okay? And 3, sometimes it's okay to just be quiet and don't even argue back. Just walk away.
Facts.
Everything ain't meant to be a fight.
That's a word. Everything ain't meant to be a fight.
That is a word.
That's why we tired sometimes. We always trying to fight everybody.
Exactly.
Fighting invisible enemies too. Stop.
Right. And each other, which we definitely we all have room for improvement, right? So I think that's a good point as well. I think when I think about this question, I'm reminded of kind of how I grew up. So my parents are from Mississippi, both of them, Jackson, Mississippi, although somewhat outside of Jackson because it was rural. It's not the city. So they came from a very oppressive, obviously, the deep, deep South, if you can just imagine. My mom was, integrated into schools, right? So she was that generation. So I know this about my mom, and I know the different stories she's told about growing up and just hating it there and wanting to leave. I grew up in San Diego, California. So my mama got out, right? And it is such an interesting difference between, and this is no shade to my family, but there's an interesting difference between myself and my brother and my cousins. and, you know, my aunties and uncles' children who have stayed in Mississippi, their perception, just the way that they approach life, the way they identify. But I think for sure, there's a part of what, and I don't know who put this in my mama, God, I guess, right? She said, you will not grow up hating yourself. And so there were rules. A lot of the things you mentioned, Tracy, about writing, you know, 600-page essays, girl, I was like, really? But in general, the way we saw ourselves, she remembered growing up and only seeing white women, blonde white women with blue eyes on TV. And that was the epitome of beauty. This is what beauty is. This is what beauty looks like. It sounds like, all of that. That's all she saw, right? And, you know, being in the country, barefoot running around, like, for real, this is not in the general sense. She was really barefoot running around. This was her ideal of beauty. And so she learned and figured out for her own daughter, that is not going to happen. I could not own white Barbies. I could not watch TV shows that had white people and no Black people. There had to be at least one Black main character in whatever I watched on TV. We had to write books and all kinds of things on Black culture. We were wearing African garb, not knowing where it was from, which country, mostly West African, as I learned later, but this is what we gonna do. I think a lot of my generation had to do that. Like, we just showed up at church and are like, yes, this is what we say is nice. You know, this is our attire for today. And this is our Sunday's best we would put on, right? And I just think it's so interesting that, again, if we don't do that, if we don't protect the minds of these little girls, how could they grow up really hating themselves? I remember reading The Bluest Eye, right, at like 10 by Alice Walker. Real early for that book, by the way. I don't know if that's probably, you know, but read that a little later. But I think when remembering that, right, and talking to my mom about the concepts, right, everyone in that book, a lot of the women in that book were maids. My mom's family, all the women in my mom's family were maids. They picked cotton, they were maids, they cleaned white people's houses. That is what they did. And so I think whatever happened, and again, however it happened, and her getting out and giving me this different life, right? Maybe a life that she would have wanted for herself, is, I think, a beautiful thing that we can continue to do for the girls that are in our lives, our cousins, right? Our little cousins, our godchildren, just the little girls in our community. I make it a point to stop little girls as they're walking around if I see them masked up, socially distanced. You are beautiful. You are beautiful. You are intelligent. You are so smart, you know.
I was
And
going to say even more. You are so smart.
yes,
you are so smart.
Add that in there.
Pretty. You are so smart. You can do anything.
Absolutely.
That is my new thing. That is all I'm going to say. You should be so proud of yourself.
Exactly.
And proud of yourself.
Y'all remember people saying that to you growing up and being like,
no, that's
really?
Every day. I tell my daughter that every day. I hug my children every day. I embarrass the shit out of my kids when they used to get out of the car. I love you. Like, I'm that mother. Because again, I knew my mother loved me, but my mother is not my friend. My mother's my mother. So my mother is, you know, she is what she is. But I remember before I got married again, I was dating a guy that I actually like get serious enough to actually meet my children. And I remember one night he overheard me telling her before she went to bed, you know, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're this, all these different things. And he was like, don't you think you blowing her head up? I was like, I should. He was like, don't you think that's gonna make her stuck up or something? I was like, no, I know my child is gonna make her a better person. So the first dude that come up to her and start telling her that she don't think that's enough, I'm gonna tell her that so the next time somebody try to out-talk her or some craziness, she can know that she can do that. That's what I did. So don't sit here and tell me how to talk. First of all, not how to talk to somebody's child who's not yours. And secondly, to tell me what I'm doing isn't good because it's gonna cause this effect. Let it cause that damn effect, because you ain't finna sweet talk her and talk her into nothing. That's why she is the way she is. When y'all meet, like, she's the most mature person in the house. And she already knows the work ethic I have. If you're not matching what mommy do, nah, we have a problem. She already knows. That's why she is the way she is. She doesn't have to do these things. Like, I would never kick my child out and say, well, you know what, you're 18, you're this, gotta get out of here. She already knows that if I'm gonna be in my house, in my mom's house from now on, because it is my mother's house, I need to either be in school, I need to be working, I need to be doing something. She already knows it. It's not something I had to overly tell her, but the things that were important to tell her, like, you are beautiful, you are smart. You don't have to get a weave because this girl get a weave. You don't have to get contacts to change your eyes. You don't have to do this. You don't even have to wear all pink. You can do whatever you want. Just, don't be out here smelling bad and shit. Don't be making me look bad.
Don't embarrass me.
That is such a Black mama
Don't do
thing to
that.
say.
Hell yeah, that's real. Like, don't be out here be like, they can smell you? Nah.
I love it.
That's just
I'm
me.
in tears.
So listen, I know we've only got about 10 minutes left. I want everyone to go around round table with some last thoughts, right? Around this identity. What would you want someone listening, whether they're a girl, a Black woman, just to remember to think about, right? A call to action, maybe for the year. We're still in the beginning of the year, right? 2021. What should we be focusing on with, the amazingness that is happening? And whichever side you're on, we do have a Black woman as a VP in the White House. So that's listen, I'm happy about it. But I think in general, what does it look like this year with the things that have happened, with the challenges that are still, really against us? How do we continue this fight, but also how do we rest in our authenticity as Black women and as members of the community?
Going. Oh, okay. As the baby, as the young one out of the group, I say allow yourself some grace. Like, you deserve that. Like, it's so many mistakes I've made, but internally, but I think showing myself some grace and giving myself that space to actually like heal from it and grow from it, I think that's what's helped me along the way. And again, treat yourself. That's how you allow yourself to give yourself some grace. And then also reflect. Always write stuff down. It's crazy to see some of the stuff that has happened by me just manifesting it. It's real. And then again, like I said, everything ain't worth a fight. Everything ain't worth a fight.
Yeah. I would say, so one of the things I found to be helpful is just approaching everything with curiosity. So even approaching relationships, approaching your actions, your drive, your goals, like, why do I want this? Do I want it for me? Do I want it because someone told me it's what I should have? Why do I want to do this? So it's really approaching my life, approaching the people that I'm bringing into my life. Like, why do I need that relationship? Like, is it because I think that they're going to get me somewhere, or is it because I actually want to grow and see that person succeed together? I think that we can rise up together. Is that why I want that person in my life? Because if that's why, great. But if there's some other notion around that, really working through it so that you can come back to that relationship and it can be an honest give and take. Or if it's supposed to be something else, if it's supposed to be a growth, if it's supposed to be, learning a mentor thing, and if that's supposed to be a teacher, if it's supposed to, whatever that may be. But if you approach your relationships, if you approach your goals with curiosity, I think that you can ground them. And that way you can really grow and build the community you need, because you know where you need that care, the self-care. You know where you need that extra help.
Oh, that's good. I wrote that
I
one
love
down too. Give yourself some
love
grace.
it.
Thank you so much. Got that one. What else, everyone?
Yeah, what I think what's been helping Gose in this time of my life, and I guess this is kind of my answer to both questions, is I love how you're saying, like, manifesting what you want, right? There's how do I get there? And I love what you're saying about knowing why you want what you want. And mine is very simple. A lot of us don't even know what we want.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, let's start there. Let's start with the simple question. What do I actually want? And that's a question I ask a lot of people. We can complain, and I like complaining. But after we're done complaining, and I believe in it. No, I think it's healthy to complain. I think a lot of times we don't get a chance to get our real feelings out about things because we're so busy trying to be positive. So I'm like, no, complain. And then when you're done complaining, because we've moved it out, what do you want now? And sometimes that's hard. and we've spent a lifetime people pleasing. You don't even know, well, what would make me feel better in this? I know I hate this, but I don't know what I want because I've never even been able to dream that far ahead. I've been so busy just responding to whatever's happening in life that my life is just is a series of me putting out fires. That's all I know how to do. I don't know how to dream for myself. So I say everything they said, starting with take some time to know what you want.
I love it. Ooh, that hit right here. That hit right here.
I think for me, as this motorcycle goes by, I think for me, don't let them steal your magic. Don't let them steal your magic. It is yours. You know what I mean? So many times you just do all these things and you just get beaten down, or you dim your shine because your best friend does this, such and such, or you don't want to, like, just don't let them steal your magic. Don't let them steal your joy. It is yours. It's given to you. And I can tell you now, if you don't appreciate it, it's going to get taken away. And I don't want mine taken away. And that's why it's so funny. People are like, oh, wow, Kiara, I didn't know this about you. You didn't ask. I don't waste my words on people. You didn't ask. I don't give people nothing. You ask me what you want to know. I don't sit here and tell people nothing. Only people I do that for are the people who pay me to do that for them, and possibly these kids, because they're really handling me. I'm really not handling them, including my husband. So you didn't ask for those things. So I'm not going to tell you those things. You ask me, I'll tell you anything you want to. I have no reason to not tell you anything, because it's information out here for everybody. It's money out here for everybody. It's all these things out for everybody. So, just to get back to it, just don't let them take any of those things from you. If you weren't born with magic, hopefully you get some. But I know I was born with some.
We were all born with it. Plenty of it. Plenty of it.
Some people didn't get as much as we did. So,
I'm partial to agree with you.
That's why they be out stealing people's magic.
We got a lot of magic over here in the Black Girl Circle, right? So no, I think this has been amazing. I think this is going to be amazing. I can't wait for the replay so we can all share it with our prospective communities and audiences. It's going to be, I think it can change people's lives, honestly. This is the kind of work that I love to do as co-founder of Betterness Box. And here's my shameless plug and the discount code I mentioned earlier. Y'all make sure to go to betternessbox.com and check out Betterness Box. It is a wellness subscription service, really, for Black women that are dealing with the issues that we're talking about today, but just who want to exist, right? Who want to explore their identity. I love what Tracy said about being curious, because in this next season, we send these boxes out quarterly, and this next season box is called Let Us Be. Just let us be, right? And we are going to be exploring self-awareness. And what does it mean to be self-awareness? Asking those questions that Goze was talking about. What do I even want? And how do I manifest those things? So I just think this is a powerful, powerful discussion. The things that we are all doing is amazing within our communities, and we have to continue doing them for the next generation coming up and ourselves. Again, we got to rest well. We have to model how to rest well and show up well, because even if we say you are beautiful, you are smart, if we ain't acting like we believe that for ourselves, who gonna believe us? Before I forget, and I know we have just a couple minutes left, please tell people where to find you and where to find the things that you're working on. That's definitely something I forgot to add. So we'll start with Goze, Goze. She's on the left side of my screen.
Okay, cool. I'm one of those laid off bartenders right now, which is fine with me because I've been doing other things. I do an affirmation power hour at 11 on Sundays on Clubhouse. So, if you want to refine your affirmations, it's called Release, Refine, Receive. So, if you need to get on there and just get a little pick me up on Sunday mornings, I have that going on. And I got a lot of things other than that happening, right? We've all had to kind of find different ways to get bills paid. So, those are just bills.
What's your handle? How do we find you, just to make sure?
Yeah. You can follow me on Instagram at pronounced_GOZAY. And then, my Facebook page is public, Goze Park, spelled just like it is on here. And I think I am pronounced Goze on Clubhouse as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Tracy?
I am spirited_Tracy with an IE on Instagram. I think I'm on Twitter, Spirited Tracy. But really, most of my stuff kind of circulates around Instagram, where I focus on whiskey education, some bad jokes sometimes, and then and IG lives and things. But yeah, my world pretty much focuses around whiskey and creating inclusivity and diversity in the category.
Awesome. Thank you. Kiata.
So you can follow me on Instagram, Pictures and Cocktails, and that's spelled correctly, not with a Z, not with a, yeah, Pictures and Cocktails. And you should see a big picture of me standing in front of a bunch of bottles. You can also follow me at A Sip of Paradise Garden. That is the bartenders community garden that I started here in Atlanta, and will be, because I've manifested it, having multiple gardens around the world, not the country, the world. And finally, the GEM project, which is my in-game project, which will be focused on training girls back home in Liberia to not continue to do what they're doing. You can always have a career in service, and it can take you anywhere. Look at me. So, yeah.
Yay. Thank you. All right, Mo Peacock. I just love the way that sounds.
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook and Clubhouse at Top Shelf Peacock. There's no underscore, just straight Top Shelf, like spirits, and Peacock like the bird, like my last name.
Awesome. Well, let's give each other a round of applause, because this was amazing. Thank you, ladies, for spending your Saturday afternoon with me. I really appreciate it.